Mikey,
What up?
what up?
Well, hello. Hello. What's up?
going on? This
What's
is
up?
Bowie.
Boy or girl? Bowie, what's up?
Bowie the good boy.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing much, man. Just got in town. Get to see the hometown. Go try and see everybody while I'm here.
Nice. What's right, go ahead.
Hopefully get some work done as well. But half work, half play. That's the plan.
That's the way to do it. That is
For
the way.
sure.
So what gets Bowie excited? How do I just stoke him out?
Well, there's two things. One is treats, and two, I can't even say because he will freak out and start barking, but it's DOGPARK.
Okay, you know there's one coming up on the right.
Is there really?
Yes, there is. Right by my office.
Well, we're going to be paying it a visit at some point for sure.
Sounds good.
Yeah, Bowie he loves playing with other dogs. He loves meeting other people. He's a very interactive, social dog.
Oh, we'll see if he sees it as we drive by.
Yeah, he might. So I wanted to share your story with the world, which you've shared with so many people across the skateboard industry and real estate. But this is sort of a new audience, and I find it really fascinating that we sort of share something a little bit in common, where we both spent our entire lives skateboarding and then have since taken a step away from it and used whatever skills we had and grew through that industry to do completely different things.
Right.
And I think your story is fascinating, and I'll let you tell it, but everything from, the end of DC Shoes and your career with them into St. Archer and real estate and everything like that, I think it's such a cool story, and it's really motivational for people that, they try one thing their whole life. In your case, you were extremely successful at it, but then you're able to pivot at the end of one career into something else that's, probably 100 times more fruitful.
Right. All right,
So,
will you do me a favor before I start?
Yes.
Can you get in your right lane?
Oh, yeah.
Just so I can see if Bowie sees it.
He might see it.
High. So, yeah, for me, I was a kid growing up in Southern California, played like conventional sports with friends, but never really got into anything like I got into skateboarding. Skateboarding for me, when I picked up a skateboard, it was like, that was life.
Yeah.
Just obsessed with it, didn't want to stop. And so, I started getting pressure from my parents around 16 to get a job and start, getting some responsibility. And I wasn't ready for that because I wanted to keep skating.
Of course.
And so I came up with this plan that maybe I could get companies to give me free product. And then I would have product that I got for free that I could sell to the skate kids. And that could be my side hustle.
Yeah.
And so that's what I set out to do. I ended up getting some sponsors. And
you're selling the product at Borchard?
Selling the product at Borchard. That's right. And then it just kind of slowly and what felt like organically turned into a career. All right, Bowie, look at this. Look what we got right here.
Oh, this is it right here, huh?
Bowie. Do you see it? Oh, look, Bowie. Look. Do you see it?
He's going to lose it.
Look, Bowie. What do we got?
I didn't know there was one here. Is this new?
It's been here for a little bit. What do we got, Bowie?
He's like, you have treats. I don't care what's here. There's no dogs here.
Oh, he found him. What's there? This is like when we see skateboarders.
Yeah, Bowie's looking out for spots just like we do.
So,
that's funny.
So that basically turned into a career. The challenge that I had is I kind of had to make a decision if I was going to go to college or not.
Right.
And so at 18, I basically asked my parents if they'd be okay if I skipped school to try to become a pro skateboarder. And they panicked.
Yeah, of course.
And, it was a little bit difficult to get them on board. Basically, what I told them was, it was to my mom and dad, hey, I could always just do this for a few years, and I could always go back to school. There's no time limit on school. There's time limit on chasing a dream like this.
Exactly.
And so I went for it, and that turned into a little bit over a 10-year career, which was longer than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And so it was a blessing. It was a dream come true. Everything about it was amazing. But there was a challenge to it, which was pro skateboarders don't make enough money to retire after their sport.
Exactly.
And so...
Or if any do, it's, 1/100th of 1%.
It really is,
yeah.
Right? You got to cross over into, reality shows or...
Rob Dyrdek.
It's hard,
yeah.
Right? And so I always felt this pressure of needing to figure out what to do afterward because I was really concerned that I was kind of jeopardizing my future by, doing something I loved in the beginning of my life and then I was going to pay for it on the back end. And so I was really good about basically saving and investing money. I had a mentor at a young age, thank God.
Wow.
And then I started my first business before my career ended so that I could rely on some income coming in from sponsors and wasn't taking as much risk by just starting something and hoping it worked.
Sure.
And so I started a craft brewery in San Diego. It was called St. Archer.
And who was that with? It was with other skaters and a surfer,
Paul
too?
Rodriguez, who is like one of the most legendary skateboarders, who is also one of my childhood best friends.
If we're lucky, he's on the next episode after this.
That's right. So he was one of my partners, and then Josh Landon, who did come from the surf industry, was our third partner. So us three started it together. And then we had a lot of success with it. We ended up selling our business to Miller Coors in 2015.
Solid.
And then from there, I started my current business, which is it's called Commune Capital. It's a private equity real estate firm, which basically means I go out and find property to buy that we develop into apartments or storage units. And then we bring investors in who want to own real estate but don't want to do the work. So we facilitate the real estate and the investment for them.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, so that's what I do, and then I'm also the mayor pro tem for Thousand Oaks. So
so the city council stuff I'm curious about, because I almost want to say born and raised, but I was 4 when I moved to Thousand Oaks, and I spent, I think, over 18 years in Thousand Oaks, so I spent my whole life here. So to hear that you're, a major part of how the city's functioning, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool. When I got elected, it's a 4-year term, so I'm halfway through a 4-year term.
Oh, cool.
And then that's it. That's the last 25 years in 2 minutes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that one clip of those skater dudes that kept coming in and talking to you in like the board meetings, or I don't know what the hell to call it, but what are those guys' deal?
So those two are comedians.
They're comedians?
Yeah.
But do they actually skate?
I don't think so. I don't think they know how to skate, no. But they go to council meetings and do like these skits, basically, and they're hilarious. They're so good.
What up, council? My name is Chad Kroger. This is my colleague JT.
Yeah,
so funny.
Chad and JT Bar. Yeah, they're unbelievable.
Well, was the thing like planned with you in advance, or did they show up when you're actually like trying to work?
No, I was at an actual city council meeting, and we were dealing with something like pretty emotional.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people there, and these two guys just walk up, and I immediately knew. I saw Chad walk in with like a pink beanie. I was like, who is this guy? And so they came, and I was probably the only one who knew who they were. No one else knew. So I was like dying inside, and everybody in the beginning was like, are they serious? It was good. They did a good job.
Yeah, that was one of the most awesome. I think I'm a big fan of when you take something that's usually so serious and so boring, and you throw a curveball into it, make it fun and entertaining, and in that case, it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous what they were asking for.
That's
I don't remember exactly what it was, but...
That's right.
Oh, my God. They were talking about skate stopping spots and being like a hater or something like that.
Yeah.
Skateboarders need protection. The biggest sign of disrespect to skaters has come in the form of skate stoppers. Nothing wets a skater's beak more than a fat ledge he can bust a blunt side on. And nothing kills a skater's boner more than the government ripping that joy away from him. That is why we come to you, Thousand Oaks. You guys can be the first city to be skater friendly. You can become the Narnia for skaters everywhere. How can you do this? By coating the entire city in marble. Think of it, council. You will have a bigger influx of cool dudes than Seattle in the 90s. And you guys may be wondering why Thousand Oaks. Councilmember Taylor, I know you by your secret alter ego, Mikey Taylor, Unreal Pro Skater and very chill dude. Never before have skaters had a bigger bro in government, and we need you. Do not forget your roots, dude.
Yeah, take a bite of that respectfully.
Their whole basically presentation is how cities discriminate on skaters.
Yeah.
And so Thousand Oaks needs to be like a sanctuary city for skaters and make the whole place marble. Like the first ever marble city for skaters.
Well, aside from Barcelona, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was funny.
That's hilarious. Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, put Thousand Oaks on the map, My whole plan with what I have going on, is if I can really capitalize on it and create kind of a nest egg, I'm going back into the skateboard industry.
Oh, really?
But in sort of a different way. Essentially what Colorado needs, and I live about 20 minutes north of Denver, we have 3 or 4 indoor skate parks across the state. None of them are any good. I think 2 of them are like church related, and I think they're donation based, and they're just not able to build a facility like Skate Lab where I grew up.
Right.
There's another one that closed down recently, and I think they were trying to rebuild. I don't know if they did or not, but I really want to have something like Skate Lab in Colorado, and I know that an indoor skate park is usually not a very profitable venture.
Yeah, that's right.
So my plan with it is to have a lot of multi-use stuff with the space. If I get 20, 30,000 square feet, you know, maybe 2/3 of the space will be a skate park, but then it's also going to be sort of an event space. So we'll have staging and lighting. We'll do live shows there. We'll have not just a skate shop, but a restaurant, maybe a couple lanes of a bowling alley, you know, a full bar, just a place where it doesn't matter if you skate or not, you're going to want to come and hang out here.
Right.
Your favorite local punk band or DJ is going to come and play a show there. And when you show up, you're going to be like, this is a cool spot.
Right.
I want to hang out here. So, you know, figure $20 a head at the door. I mean, you could pay your lease for the whole month in one night if you have a show with, you know, 2,000 people showing up.
Right.
So that's sort of my idea.
All right, so make your way back to the into the industry.
You know, and I was back in the industry by accident, really. A couple years ago, I was running a skateboard factory north of Denver that my friend started, and that place was wild because it was like on the tail end of COVID, so we had to deal with the supply chain and all that stuff.
Oh, dang.
But we were doing a ton of stuff, making boards for like 150 different skate shops and companies all across the country.
Wow.
And it was during the skateboard shortage, the great big COVID skateboard shortage. So the demand was so high that, you know, it was busy, it was really successful, but the supply chain bit us in the butt and ended up shutting that place down. But, you know, it's like I've retired from the skateboard industry twice now, and I figure third time's the charm, right?
Yeah.
You know,
We'll see.
I'll go back into it and, you know, we'll see what we can make happen.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right.
But I'm sure you'll be hearing from me at some point. Because, I don't know, when we had the factory, we became really close friends with Andy Roy, just randomly. I shot him a DM on Instagram, and I was like, hey, we just finished building our skate shop and mini ramp. We're going to do this big event and party. You want us to fly you out and you can come host the event? And I was like, you know, shot in the dark. There's no way this dude's going to hit me back.
And he said yes.
Sure enough, he was like, yeah, dude, I'm down. Like, let's do it. And I'm just like, oh, my God. So, yeah, Andy just kept flying out. He was supposed to come out for my buddy's baby shower the other week, and something didn't line up. But
that's amazing.
Social media is such a funny thing, man.
It really is.
Like, it's so easy to connect with people, and once you get the blue check mark, you realize, like, pretty much anyone you DM will actually message you back.
Yeah,
and you're like, wait, what? I had no idea.
I know. That's true.
I didn't even earn mine either. Like, I was like, okay, I'm at 400K now. When am I going to get my blue check mark?
It just popped up?
No, I bought it.
Oh, okay.
You know? Okay. I couldn't wait any longer. I wanted something, you know?
That's right. That's right.
But here we are.
That's awesome.
Blue check mark and all.
Yep, that's right.
So what's next for Mikey Taylor? You got Commune Capital, and you got the business going. You got some new ventures. Is there anything else that you're going to go into, or are you just going to keep running this course and just keep building it?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay on course. It's kind of the hardest thing for entrepreneurs is you start chasing a bunch of different things because it's kind of how we're wired. Right now, we have so much going on. It still feels like a startup in a lot of ways.
It still feels pretty new. I mean, it doesn't seem like that long ago that it was 2006 and I just got Skate More on a DVD and I'm watching you and Jeremy Rogers parts to get me hyped up to go skate, you know?
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like that long ago.
I know.
And to think that you've been, you know, out of the skateboard industry and running Commune for this long, I mean, how many years has it been?
Dude, you know what's crazy? I'll get DMs or I'll get comments on my Instagram of people that have not seen me since I was a skater. Like,
really?
And then, like, somehow I popped up in their Explore page. They jump on, and their question is like, dude, what the heck happened to you? Why aren't you skateboarding? And I respond, it's nuts to say this. Dude, I have been a pro skateboarder for a decade now.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years.
It's 10 years since you were a pro skateboarder.
10 years since I was a pro skateboarder.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, that went by quick. Because you were on DC on the resurgence of DC. It was like the second coming, because I grew up with the DC video, and it was Josh Kalis and Rob Deerdeck and all that. But then DC sort of, I wouldn't say they fell off. They were always around. DC, but when they came back with Mike Mo and you and Nija and everybody, that was like, I mean, DC was huge again. Their shoes slimmed down. They were putting out these new lines. You had like the kind of low cut shoes, right?
That's right.
And
that's right.
That was a really cool era. I loved that era.
That was fun. That was, what was that, 2010?
Yeah.
2010.
Something like
15?
that, yeah.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. That was fun to be able to experience that on like the tail end of my career.
Yeah.
That was a fun time.
But what about the boards? Because you were on City Stars and then you were on Alien Workshop. But what else? What am I missing?
I was on City Stars, and then I actually rode for Rob Dyrdek and Josh Kalis' company, Seek, originally.
Oh, Seek, right.
Yeah, and I turned pro for them, and then they stopped doing Seek and rolled a portion of the team over to Alien Workshop, which I jumped on there.
Okay.
And then I got kicked off Alien Workshop.
Why? Robbie Dyrdek had beef or what?
No, Rob has been the best to me. Like,
Okay.
He's been such a solid, like, mentor and friend. There were people on the team that didn't like me.
Oh, damn.
And so Rob covered me for a long time. And there was, like, you know, even though people didn't like me on the team, the fact that I was Rob's boy, I was just safe, I guess you could call it.
Sure.
And then Rob bought Alien Workshop, and basically, like, the entire team went to Rob and said, if you don't kick Mike off, we're all leaving.
No way.
Yeah, and so Dyrdek called me and was like, bro, I hate to do this to you. And at this point, I had already sold St. Archer, so I'm already in the business world at this point.
So this is already a few years, like, after Minefield came out.
This is after Minefield.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Rob calls me and goes, dude, I hate everything about this, but this is what's going on. I know you're a businessman. I know you understand it, but it still sucks that I have to do this.
Yeah, for sure.
And I wasn't even mad at him. Like, I totally understood. Like, I've owned businesses. I know what it's like to have to make a shitty decision to keep the business alive.
Right.
And unfortunately, the team found the option to basically create leverage to force that outcome.
That's interesting because I guess from my point of view, I knew you were a local guy. I'm kind of a generation under you.
Yeah.
And some of my older friends, like Ryan Donovan, I'm sure you've heard of.
I know Ryan well.
He lived with me out in Colorado for a while. He was helping me run that skateboard factory out there.
He's great.
So he kind of like knew you on a personal level, but for me, even though we were both in the same town and everything, maybe I'd run into you here and there, but
Right.
I was sort of still watching from a fan's perspective.
Right.
And from where I was, I never saw that. Like, if you talk about Jeremy Rogers, you're talking about someone everyone knew that dude was getting clowned on. He was like the most annoying, giddy kid, you know?
Yeah.
And if he told me that, I wouldn't be surprised. But I didn't think of you as someone that maybe the rest of the teammates didn't like. I mean, as far as I could tell, especially from skateboard and stuff like that, with that whole intro.
I love skateboarding, but it makes me the worst psychopathic maniac.
It seemed like you're definitely an interesting dude, maybe kind of giddy and high energy, but
Yeah.
I don't really know like the intricate details of like, you know, what it would have been like to be your teammate back then.
Well, the reality is I get along with a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's actually difficult for me not to get along with people.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, Alien Workshop everybody on the team was super cool. Everybody was interesting. For me, I think the two parts that were hard for some people was that I was from Southern California, perceived as a valley kid.
Yeah.
And I was on the barracks, and I was friends with Steve Era.
Yeah.
And so that was probably a bigger challenge for them.
Sure.
And then, like, I'm not the personality type to get in line. I'm totally fine when people want to do things different than me. It never threatens me. But, you know, on Alien, there was kind of this faction that, you know, was spearheaded by somebody, and it was just different than what I was doing. And so I think that kind of created some friction as well, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On an individual basis, most of them would have said, like, oh yeah, I like Mikey.
Yeah. Did that make it sort of easier for you to step away after DC fell apart and stuff too? Was there a little bit of that where you're just like, well, I got other opportunities. I can go and I could leave skateboarding in the dust and I'll be fine.
To tell you the truth, that's how I thought it was going to be. I thought because I had already, you know, built something outside of skateboarding, and I had already figured out that I had a skill set that definitely, you know, I could monetize outside of skateboarding.
Sure.
I thought I'd be like, fine. But dude, I struggled with it, man. Like,
Yeah.
when in DC actually happened worse than Alien. Like, when DC ended, that it was political and it was dirty. And,
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah. And like when that happened, honestly, my first thought was like, almost like torch it. Like,
Damn.
how do I get revenge on these guys for doing this to me? I was
Because you're
pissed
going
off.
from six figures to nothing, right?
to nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to nothing.
And you already had kids at that point?
I had 2 kids.
Wow.
I had a contract with them, And the thing that really upset me was I had hurt my hip, but I was skating through it. And I asked the brand manager and the team manager, should I get surgery on my hip now, or should I just skate through it and figure it out after my contract? And all of them were like, no, take care of it now. You're only out for 4 or 5 months.
Damn.
And I had surgery, and 3 weeks after surgery, they figured out a way to basically end my contract.
Oh my God.
And so I was having a hard time. I was already going through surgery, which is a dark place for an athlete. I was not expecting it to happen, so I was blindsided by it. And the way it happened just was awful, you know?
Dude.
And so I was pissed, man. It took me probably a good year of like really letting it go and not being like bitter at a lot of those guys.
Because you weren't slowing down at that time either. Like, I remember seeing towards the end of your career, the last thing I remember is there was a gnarly spot. It was probably like a 25 stair rail, but it was an over rail into bank.
Yeah.
Was it a crook popover?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember seeing that, and you must have already been like 30 at that time.
I was 30,
right?
yeah. I was 32, yeah. So, I don't know, like, you know, I was selling a lot of product, still had a lot of demand, you know. So, you know, look, I think at the end of the day, like, I'm self-contract, I'm 1099. Like,
right.
Company has the ability to let me go if they want. I think the hard part was the skate industry, especially when I was in it, created this perception that it was all bros. Like, you know, it's family.
It's so inclusive.
Yeah.
Everyone loves each other.
Yeah.
It's not like that.
No, it's all about money.
Yeah.
And so it kind of caught me off guard that there was no, like, thank you, we're going to retire you. It was just a phone call from somebody I had never met before saying we're ending your contract.
No way.
Yeah.
That's cutthroat, man.
Yeah, so I didn't like anything about that. But I will say this. It ended up turning into one of the biggest blessings I was ever given.
Sure.
100%.
Yeah.
But when it happened, it did not feel that way.
Of course.
When it happened, it hurt.
I can relate so much, man. It's like I built up a business as a private driver in LA. COVID completely destroyed it. And I just moved to Colorado with whatever I could fit in my car. You know, I didn't know anybody in the whole state.
Right.
So I had built something, and, you know, February 2020, my newest client at the time was Wayne Gretzky.
Dang.
I was on top of the world. That's when I was living
Wayne's
in...
out here.
Yeah.
Is he in Colorado also? Wayne's got a place over here.
No, that was when I was in LA.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in Thousand Oaks, that was the spot.
That's so sick.
So, yeah, Wayne Gretzky, and then next month, COVID. So I was like, I have this big Mercedes van. I was living at YOLO at the time. So Eric Bork was my neighbor.
Yeah, I know Yellow.
And that was when I think around that time you had like interviewed me for an internship or something like that.
Remember.
And I was like, dude, I'm paying $2,400 for rent here. I can't afford to.
That. Yeah.
But I so wanted to. And I always thought about, over the years, I always thought about, like, what if I took that job working for Mikey? What would my life have turned into, you know?
Well, I think you ended up picking the right path.
You know, there's been a lot of ups and downs, but
that's right.
I can't complain. Right now, things are going pretty good.
Good.
Thanks to this dog right here.
That's right. Where's my buddy?
Bowie.
Oh.
What are you doing? Do you want a
What's
treat?
up, Bubba?
Do you want a treat? Come here. You want to give him one? These are his favorite.
Bowie, got something for you, buddy.
He knows I have one.
Bowie, here we go, Bubba. Oh my God. Yeah, such
Oh, you got the treat.
Boy.
Yeah, it's funny, man. Like, the whole private driving thing crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Went to Colorado, had nothing, ended up doing the skateboard factory. Wild, massive success, so much fun. And then that place crashed and burned. And I was like, what the hell am I going to do? It's like, you have to reinvent the wheel so many times.
Yeah.
But if you just tweak things a little bit, sometimes it'll just end up working out.
That's right.
It's so weird.
That's right.
You know, like, it's like that movie Slumdog Millionaire.
Yep.
You know how everything in his life just ended up being the perfect answer to exactly what he ended up needing to know? For my history, like making skateboard videos and working with the skateboard companies, doing social media, doing marketing, just always networking, always getting my name out there, always editing videos. And then that ended up being exactly the skill set I needed to do exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Absolutely right.
It's such a beautiful thing.
It is.
Politically,
Right.
California is swallowing itself in so many ways.
Right.
And, you know, people want the roads fixed. People want better forest management to stop the fires.
Right.
People want, you know, their tax money to actually go to what benefits them as opposed to whatever corrupt shit they have going on.
Yeah, that's right.
And here you are, an ally and former skater, and you have, some say in things politically. It's fascinating. And actually, some of the stuff that you post, I love the way you talk about politics, because you always show both sides, and you never really show too much of a bias, and you could tell that you really do your research, and you really know what's going on.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
And you're able to talk about it in a way that's not going to, like, rub people the wrong way. Like, look, this is what these policy and lawmakers are doing wrong in California, and this is what we need to do differently.
That's right.
And I'm not saying go Trump, go this, go that, but like, this is just common sense, guys.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, California is just experiencing no checks. There's no checks and balance. Like, that's what it is, right? Like, you have the Republican Party that, by and large, promotes individuality and, like, gives somebody or the individual the tools for them to go succeed. And then in that, you're going to have some people that are left behind, and then you have the Democratic Party that's typically there to, like, speak for, let's say, the underserved, right? And together, the pushback or the checks and balances, in theory, creates a better result.
Yeah.
But we don't have that in California. We have a Democrat supermajority, and so there's just no balance. It's one way, and unfortunately, we're experiencing kind of the outcome of that scenario.
Yeah.
It was never intended. You can say it all you want about the two-party system, and I'm going to agree with a lot of it. But the reality is, like, that system was created for a balance. And when you don't have a balance, you run the risk of what we're experiencing in California, which is just ran so poorly now.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When I was still living here, I noticed that, growing up, going to skate at Venice Beach or going out to downtown LA to go skate spots, you knew the places that were bad.
Yeah, that's right.
You knew where Skid Row was. You knew not to go to Compton or, wherever. But over the years, it was like all of the underpasses underneath the freeway exits started getting filled up, and it was like, maybe every year or two, it would move one exit closer.
What do you see? Do you see one?
He sees a big dog.
Do you see one?
Do you see the dog? You want to go play with the dog? Huh? Where's the dog?
So good. Yeah, I know, man. And what's fascinating? It's a lot of people are noticing it on both sides. It's not like California's, at least for the people that, that's what matters, right?
Sure.
Most are just frustrated with this whole thing.
How could you not be? I mean, when the price of everything keeps going up, it's becoming less and less safe to do anything.
Yeah, that's right.
And, and then on top of that, California's always just been so over-regulated. If you're trying to start a business or run anything here, how the hell are you going to do it, Yeah. So businesses leave, why'd they all move to Texas?
That's right.
Why did Joe Rogan and Elon Musk go to Texas?
Yeah.
Well, 2 Google searches and you'll find the answer.
Yeah, that's right. In-N-Out headquarters actually just moved, or announced that they're moving from Orange County to Tennessee. They've been here for 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, the first ever In-N-Out closed down. And I believe that was, in Oakland or something?
Yep, exactly.
So In-N-Out closes, the only location they've ever closed down due to rampant crime and homelessness.
That's right. Sad, right?
It's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
But, it can only go so far in this direction before it makes a U-turn.
100%.
It's starting to make a U-turn.
Yeah.
I think even based on voting numbers in the last election, you could see that, California's not flipping red anytime soon, but you could tell that people are speaking with their vote.
Yeah, there's a momentum for sure. Yeah, I agree.
It used to be a red state.
Yeah, I know. It seems like I was in a time long ago.
It was like, what was that, the 1800s?
Yeah, that's right.
It wasn't that long ago.
No, it wasn't. It was Reagan, right? Reagan Bush.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And now we've gone all the way into the blue direction, and we're going to turn it around. If they turn it around enough, maybe I'll move back. You never know.
Yeah, I know. We're losing people, man. It's sad.
It's an exodus.
Yeah.
New York has seen the same stuff. Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
If this is how you run your cities, people are going to leave.
That's right. That's right.
What's your plans the rest of the weekend?
I was telling you, I'm taking the family to Utah Monday. We'll probably just get ready for the trip and keep it low-key. No big plans. We're going to get dinner tomorrow night with some friends, but...
Nice.
Other than that, just kicking it.
Well, probably a long shot, but if you're bored around 1 to 2 p.m. tomorrow, we're going to be skating Primitive Park.
Oh, right. Are you going to go see Paul?
Yeah, that's the plan. So we'll see how it goes. Gotta get back on the board. It's been a long time, but
Dude, for me too.
yeah, we'll see how it goes, man.
Thanks, brother.
For
I
sure.
really appreciate it.
Hell yeah, it's good seeing you,
I'll
Mikey.
talk to you soon. Later, bye-bye. Later, buddy.
Have a good one.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
Later.
Fucking awesome, dude.
Seriously.
So fucking chill.
That was so cool. It wasn't even like nerve-wracking. It was just like talking to a friend.
Yeah, dude, he's the fucking coolest.
I mean, we both skate. We come from the same place, so
How was the interview?
it was great. Only problem is the lighting, really. It's like, you can't like drive into the sun because it just makes the back seat like completely black.
Yeah, fucking great guy. I did not expect him to be that chill, dude. I really didn't.
Yeah.
He is so fucking chill. I really wanted to compliment his shoes. You see them?
Dude, I didn't.
They're so fucking sick, dude.
Thanks so much for watching. Happy game day. Scobo. Subscribe down below.
Like, follow, Linktree, subscribe.
Subscribe and follow.
Yes.
I'm gonna follow the Instagram.
Follow the TikTok.
I'm gonna follow the TikTok. Like and subscribe. Don't forget to like.
The Uber dog.